Hello and welcome to Research Talks from Stockbox with Alan Green. It's that time of week again, Alan, Friday. Welcome back.
It is, Mark. Yes, it's somewhat different to last week. We're still basking in balmy temperatures, but it's rather dull and overcast now. So I think the sun's gone. So we've had our summer.
The UK weather, well, it never ceases to amaze me. You can go from like super hot and unpleasant to quite chilly the next day.
Four seasons in one day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the way it is, isn't it? It's just always been like that. Very unpredictable. So how are you? Are you well?
Yes, I'm very good, thanks. We've just had a quiet week. In fact, it got so hot at the start of this week when the markets closed on Monday. I jumped on my push bike and pedaled down to the beach and jumped in the sea and cooled off, and that was fantastic. Really, really good. So, very fortunate to live in this part of the world and to have that. But unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, I mean, it's absolutely rammed with tourists down here at the moment. So if you get anywhere near the seafront, it's just chock full. So,
which beach are we talking about?
We're talking about Seaford Beach. So
Seaford, okay.
Seaford is between Eastbourne and Brighton. So it's a long stretch of beach, but it's quite unspoiled. It's not really a touristy seafront, but it's because of its relative remoteness, it's prized by tourists and sightseers alike. So they've all turned up this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have been a nice feeling though, having to cycle and then jump in the cold sea, but that was a pleasant experience.
It was very good. Yeah, enjoyed that.
Good. So on with the research talks this week. We're going to be talking about Erris Resources and Cadence Minerals.
That's right. Yep.
So if we start with Erris, it's quite an interesting company, isn't it? Very European. It looks like, looking at what they've got available around. Actually, so you've got Ireland and Scotland, so very close to home. What can you tell us about Erris?
Well, this is an interesting company. Currently got a market cap of 2.7 million, so tiny really. But it's not an untypical market cap of a company with assets in the ground ready to be developed. And I'll come back to this point with Cadence a little later on. Shares have traded as high as 9.5p and as low as 2.25p on the year, and we're sitting at about 7p now as I'm talking. So market cap of 2.7 million. So as you rightly say, Mark, it's very Eurocentric in its asset portfolio. Just to look at the background of the company, first of all, it's backed. It's got a Cisco Gold Royalties. It's a Canadian mining major. Have a 19% stake in the company. There was a management restructure recently, and David Hall moved up to CEO. David, of course, is former Minorco and Stratex International board member, CEO, I think, at Stratex, and also worked as a non-exec at Horizonte Minerals. And, of course, Jeremy Martin, who's also involved with Horizonte, he's a CEO of Horizonte and is also non-exec director on the board here at Erris Resources. Anton Duplessis, former Anglo-American Billison and Rio. He's the non-exec chairman of the company. We then have Graham Brown, who's a former geologist, worked with David Hall at Minorco and was former geoscience head at Anglo-American. Then we have Chief Ops Officer Adam Lavelle, who was involved in the Pandora prospect discovery, and Sheriff Freefat, who is CFO, Chief Finance Officer, and also advisor to Bacanora Lithium. And the board was restructured in March this year, so that reflects the current status of the board. Okay. A placing was undertaken at 4.25b. Company raised 330,000 in quarter two this year, and as at 30th of June had 1.3 million euros in the bank. So company is well funded to progress the prospects for the four projects that I'm just going to go into more detail on now. So firstly, we come to Ireland. there are the Erris owns 136 square kilometers of licenses at Abbeytown in Ireland, 5 prospecting licenses, and this is a brownfield site based around an old lead and silver mine. But the company is using obviously up-to-date prospecting data mining and prospecting methodology. So the potential mining targets are based within an active limestone quarry. They've confirmed high-grade mineralization and undertaken positive metallurgical tests, and they're currently seeking a JV partner, and that's the Abbeytown prospect. Mm-hmm. In Galway, they have a further 18 prospecting licenses in a proven zinc mining region, and this is close to the Tyna mine, which was running and in operation from 1965 to 81. And a TELUS airborne survey was undertaken. Now, TELUS was undertaken, the TELUS survey also revealed data on other prospecting sites across Ireland too for some other companies that I've been working with over the years. And certainly the airborne data derived from the TELUS survey confirmed historical data and also added additional data, and also subsequently from that soil samples were developed. So again, there's a great deal of potential across those two license areas, Abbeytown and Galway in Ireland, and those are progressing.
There's a nice video I can see on Abbeytown actually on the website, isn't there?
There is, yes, yeah. The Erris website. I'll refer listeners to the Erris website. There's a very good video that details the workings there, and viewers can get a very clear overall picture of the potential of the Abbeytown prospect, and of course also the Galway details are there too. So that's very much. That's very much a project that's on the launch pad, as it were. But certainly, I'm going to come to the Scottish prospect last of all, because that's really where the progress has been made this year.
Okay.
But before we do that, I'm just going to give a brief overview of projects that the company has in Sweden and Finland, and also in Norway. So in Sweden, first of all, Sweden, Finland, the Brandberg Gold Project, which covers 3,500 hectares. It's quite a, as you can imagine, that far north. It's quite a remote area, but significant gold infrastructure or intersections have been identified. The company were engaged in a joint venture with Centera Gold, and that joint venture was terminated. It was decided to terminate them. So that's very much the Brandberg Gold Project. Very much is on the back burner at present. But given the movement in the gold price, given the interest in gold, I think it's quite possible that this could be revisited and rejuvenated. But it's nonetheless, the asset is there on the company's books. Mm-hmm. We then come to Norway. There are exploration licenses in Gortilis, which is in northern Norway, which entails a gold prospect with historic gold mineralization, and in fact historical drilling on that site in the mid-80s revealed sampling from that region, 6.6 grams per ton and 3.3 grams per ton of the sampling undertaken. And again, Erris's stated strategy with this is to seek a farm-in arrangement and a joint venture partner. And with the way the gold price is moving at present, clearly that's becoming ever increasingly likely. So basically 4 projects there, the 2 in Ireland, and we have Brandberg and the Gortilis project in Norway.
The Norway one, is it mostly gold?
There's zinc as well. Zinc is gold as well. The gold is the primary focus there, but there's zinc in the region too. So again, and probably zinc is going to be polymetallic. So there'll be other base metals there too that may well be there to be discovered also. But that's really where the company has progressed to date with those prospects. The The main point of focus for Erris this year, though, has been the Loch Tay joint venture in Scotland, a gold and base metals project. And again, the region there are two regions, the Lead trial and the Corrie Bude trial. Across the regions, there is a highly prospective and a series of highly prospective targets with a minimum inferred resource of 250,000 ounces of gold. And clearly, with gold now pushing on beyond $2,000 an ounce, that's something that will obviously be a key focus for the company, continues to be. So, in testing thus far, they've confirmed mineralization at the Lead trial area, and coarse gold has been revealed in sampling, an average of 7.2 grams per ton, which is pretty good, as the company's gone forward and developed this, it's identified new prospects, and the target area across Loch Tay has now been identified to over 3 kilometres. And again, the placing that was undertaken early this year was primarily to advance Loch Tay. So with the work being undertaken there at the moment, the company news flow is certainly increasing, and we expect to have further updates from Loch Tay at any point. But across those prospects and licenses owned by Erris Resources, we have a modest market cap of 2.7 million, and I think given where gold is now, any movement on Loch Tay, and indeed, if there are developments across Norway and Sweden, anything to do with gold, any progress in regard to the gold assets owned by Erris Resources should see a disproportionate movement in the share price, because that's the focus right now for investors at investing into mining and resource companies at this level.
Yeah, it does seem it's all about gold, isn't it? This company mostly.
It is, yeah,
and some zinc.
Yeah, primarily it's about gold, but obviously the licenses in Ireland are zinc. There's also, of course, the brownfield site, old lead and silver mines. So the silver price has also done very well too. So I think, again, modern mining methods. We discussed this with Panther Metals last week. Where you have a remote territory, modern mining techniques and technology can bring fragmented data and historical data together to provide a much clearer picture of the requirements to get the stuff out of the ground. So years ago, these processes would take an awful lot longer, but modern methodology means something can be fast-tracked if there's real potential there. So it would seem that with Loch Tay that we have a prospective, or a series of prospective targets that fall into that category.
And I think the key to making some good money on investing is to find companies that are very cheap, or relatively cheap compared to how you think they could go and what they've got. And Erris, I'll be honest, I haven't heard of Erris until we were talking about what we could do for the research talks this week, and 2.4 million with those projects, and it's very European. I think, and their website as well is great. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't heard of it, because it's very clean, it's very modern. There's lots of high quality pictures, good videos. Perhaps I just need that little bit of exposure. I don't know, but yeah, it certainly looks like something people should definitely take a look at. I think there's lots of good information on there.
Well, I think the great thing is with a company like this, you can take a small punt, and literally, if you're prepared to sort of to sit on the money for a little while, you could proverbially tuck it away in the drawer. Although, of course, you'd be trading the shares online in your account, but it's one to tuck away, and I think any developments at the key project Loch Tay, or in fact the other gold projects too, will see disproportionate movement in the share price. But I think, as you rightly say, it doesn't appear that Erris has had a great deal of promotional activity undertaken to date. So I hope through our or my missives today, just covering the company and identifying the key projects. People will take a closer look. As you rightly say, the website is very good. There's a great video on there on the Abbey Town property, but it's worth a closer look purely because it is so cheap. And I think when you get a company with those assets at this level, okay, the phrase 10 bagger is just thrown around pretty regularly, but we've already seen that happen with other gold companies. ECR Minerals is a great case in point. In fact, that's still moving higher now. So there are many companies that are starting to see the value in their assets realized. If you're around precious metals at the moment and you can get into something at this level, you can see some really good returns.
Yeah, and I think it's also something quite nice about it being sort of a homebred company as well. I don't know, but for UK investors to see it's in Scotland and Ireland, it's quite a nice feeling as well, I think, to invest locally, so to speak.
It is, yeah, very much so. And also, if you were so minded, if you wanted to undertake some really detailed research, of course, there's nothing stopping you from jumping in your car. Well,
exactly.
So subject to lockdowns, of course.
Yeah.
Jumping in your car and actually driving to Locte, driving to Ireland or wherever. So, and I do know a lot of investors that actually will go that far because particularly if they're experienced geologists, they like to see what's on the ground, just get a feel for themselves.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, that's Erris then. So on to Cadence Minerals now then.
Okay, so Cadence Minerals, this company is at an extremely exciting juncture, and I've known the board for some years and worked with the company, but the fact is that we're talking about undervalued assets, and we've seen some significant movement in the share price in the past few days. So Cadence currently, as we speak, has a market cap of 17 million. And I put out a tweet last night, which just basically summarized the offering. And I'm going to go through each investment the company has. So 20% of the Amapa iron ore project, valued at $600 million. 15% of European Metals Holdings, which is the owner of the Sinovac lithium project on the Czech-German border. 2.2% of MacArthur Minerals, which owns the Lake Giles iron ore project, which has a huge takeoff agreement with Glencore. 30% joint venture at the Yangibana Rare Earths project. And then there are investments into the Sonora region, the megalith and mexolith investments, and of course Bacanora Lithium are operating in the area, and also investments into Lithium Australia. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from the bottom up. I'm going to go deal with the investments, and then I'm going to discuss the Amapa last of all. And I think at the end of it, listeners will see where there is what I believe. Well, I believe there is still a huge valuation gap in the company.
Okay.
So to start with, so Cadence evolved from rare earth minerals originally. The board is the chief executive is Kieran Mazzaria, who's well known in the investing fraternity. He's up until lockdown. He was on the circuits and presenting at many of the mining events, just extolling and covering the assets that the company has. It's both a mining investment company and a mining and exploration company in its own right. So the chairman of the company is Andrew Suckling. He's well known in the commodities field, highly regarded and respected. And there are several other key board members too that are well known throughout the industry. So to start with, I'm going to look at the company has to start with. In Western and Northern Australia, 3 lithium projects. These are called Picasso, Litchfield, and Alcuta. And again, these are early exploration projects, and this actually typifies where the approach by Cadence to its investing. They have early stage projects through to late stage feasibility study projects across the portfolio. So all of these three projects have proven lithium mineralization and supported mining structure. Many have there are mines, historic mines, close by to the claims, and the mines that are close by to these three projects have produced lithium oxide at grades ranging from 4.5 to 6.5%. So, again, those are prospects that are on the launch pad to be developed. The company also has 30% of concessions and companies in Mexico. This is Mexico adjacent to the Sonora lithium field, which is a huge development run by Bacanora Lithium, and of course the Chinese company Ganfeng has a joint venture with Bacanora and owns 29.9% of the company. So tantamount to an outright takeover, but nonetheless, there are also other takeoff agreements with battery manufacturers from that field too. So again, a hugely potent area for lithium. Although they're not part of the mining plans for the Sonora Lithium project, they nonetheless share geological anomalies, and of course, as the predicted shortage in lithium supply materializes in 2022, I imagine that both of these projects, the Australian projects and the Megalith
Mm-hmm.
projects, will be developed and come to fruition. So if we judge those in value in the context of our discussions just now with Erris, they would probably add up to a value about 3 to 4 million sterling if it were valued on the UK market, just as assets in the ground ready to go.
Okay.
So we then come to the Yangibana project. The Yangibana rare earth project is being developed by ASX-listed Hastings Technology Resources, and the resources there have been developed and identified. There are 1.82 million tons of rare earths across the project, and over the past year to 18 months. Hastings has received Commonwealth approval. It has arranged a number of takeoff agreements, and also most recently it announced, due to a restructuring of the mine plan, it announced a 13% reduction in envisaged capex expenditure, which is a pretty hefty chunk of money. So Cadence owns 30% of the Yangibana North project and a stake in Yangibana. So this is progressing well, and the moves are underway to commence construction, and I guess you could say it's very much a late stage project. So clearly there is huge inherent value there for Cadence at Yangibana.
Okay.
We then come to the MacArthur Minerals stake ownership. Currently, the stake has Cadence has reduced its stake in MacArthur Minerals over the past year. Currently owns 2.2%, but MacArthur Minerals has made significant headway this year with the Lake Giles Iron Project. The Lake Giles Iron Project, last year the company announced a takeoff agreement with Glencore worth somewhere in the region of $10 billion over the next 10 years. So for a company the size of MacArthur, that was a massive step forward. And clearly the developments in the region. Subsequently, there have been a number of announcements recently from the region detailing the developments with the railway. The company are building a railway to Port Esperance so they can ship the iron ore from the mine. they've appointed contractors. So the development and the scale of this project is starting to become apparent. So Cadence have a stake in that, and of course that's been done on a very, very buoyant iron ore price. The iron ore price, of course, is holding up well over $100 per ton at the moment, and of course given the dam collapse in Brazil last year, the Vale Dam, that's basically created a squeeze in the iron ore market. But as companies like China in particular emerge from the COVID crisis, there will be increasing demand for raw materials. Of course, China is a giant consumer of iron ore. So,
can you put a value on that 2.15%?
That's. I think you'd have to take a look at the MacArthur Minerals market cap and make a judgment on that. So it's 2.2% of the company. So I don't know. We just have a look, and I can see where we're at in terms of valuation. But certainly the basis of the MacArthur developments and the success at MacArthur, I think, was a factor in the company seeking out and developing the Amapa Iron Ore project, which I'll come on to. I'll come on to in a second. Okay, so we have a 34 million market cap. 34 million market cap for MacArthur Minerals.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's on the TSXV. So that'll be dollars. Okay. So again, we can work back from that.
Yeah.
So you'll see where I'm going with this. So we have Yangibana value, we have the lithium projects in Mexico and Australia. So we're moving forward with this. The next project, of course, is the Sinovac lithium project, and this is where Cadence owns 15% of European Metals Holdings, and Kieran Mazzara is also a non-exec director on the board there. Some major developments here. There is drilling underway at present at Sinovac, but European Metals Holdings signed an agreement with CEZ Group last year, and CEZ Group is a giant Eastern European utility. And there are plans now to build a battery factory in the region, and it's going to be probably the rare earth hub or the lithium hub for the European EV industry. So absolutely huge. So again, European Metals Holdings, we have a 15% stake there. That currently valued at, just waiting for my screen to come up here. So we currently have a 25 million market cap, 25 million sterling. So again, there's a stake value there of 3 to 4 million sterling. And again, as this progresses, clearly there'll be additional value there. Okay, so we then come to the Amapa Iron Ore project. So Amapa is in northeastern Brazil, and of course the country is battling COVID at present. The mine was owned, it's owned by Dev Minerals currently. It was owned by Anglo American up to 2012, and Anglo American basically valued the mine at $600 million. The mine fell into disrepair, but Cadence have been working with the team in the region and have been working to develop a plan to bring the mine back into production. And of course, it's not just bring the mine back into production, it's going to have huge repercussions in the region, both on employment, transport, health, education. There's a whole raft of benefits to come off this. So in essence, Cadence have undertaken 3 key steps and are about to take the 4th. They have basically secured the rights to a plan which will see them own up to 49% of the mine. There are monies in escrow at the moment, which will be removed from escrow, and will be placed. It will be used to pay the creditors, and the 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 final piece of the jigsaw, if you like, at AMAPA is clearing the agreements with the creditors. They've now reached an agreement in principle. Some elements require final ratification, but they are right on the verge of getting this done and over the line. They've also secured railway concessions too, so they are going to reopen the line between the AMAPA mine and the port of Santana so they can ship the iron ore. And in doing so, what they will do is potentially longer term create a commercial rail service and a rail service that can be used by the locals to travel to and from work, and of course to travel to the port of Santana. So there are a whole raft of benefits coming out of this. Mm-hmm. So once the money's come out of escrow, Cadence will basically own 20% of the AMAPA iron ore mine. And there are plans to bring this mine back to life. The potential is absolutely huge. Certainly on the last, I'm just bringing up some more data now. On the last reckoning, there were somewhere in the region of the mine has a mine life of 14 years, and at full capacity is expected to produce up to 5.3 million tons of iron ore per annum, which will equate to a projected EBITDA of $136 million per annum. Cadence has gone into this as a joint venture with Indosino, and it now owns Dev, the company that owned the mine before it went into administration. And once it comes out, there will be further investment into the mine to recommission and to bring it back to life again. The other factor is that the mine also has its own private port, and there was a collapse in the port, which partly triggered the sale of the mine by Anglo in 2012. But nonetheless, there are many millions of tons of iron ore sitting at the port, and as part of the precondition to bring the mine back to life, Cadence is about to ship that iron ore, and that'll be shipped across the world, and clearly money will come in from that. Some of that money will go to recommission the mine. Some of that money will be invested into the rail infrastructure and back into the port to bring it back to life. But nonetheless, it's a huge project, and in terms of valuation, 20% of a mine that was worth $600 million, with an iron ore price that was back then $80 per ton, is now $100 per ton. We have an absolutely huge project that I think is just now starting to see the light of day. And I think, given the share price movements in the last few days, the market is just waking up to the potential that Cadence Minerals offers. Clearly, with AMAPA, that's going to be the game changer, but also the nascent value that lies within the other projects I've discussed also.
Yeah, so there's quite a few projects there, and with the AMAPA being the flagship, you would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say? It was about the 17 million market cap at present.
It's a 17 million market cap at present. So yeah, I think of course, we're making judgments based on potential in the ground. But if you look at what companies have done with gold projects this year, iron ore clearly is a commodity that's very much in demand, and the price has held up really well throughout the COVID crisis. I think if you look at the potential of this longer term, just to give some historical perspective, when MacArthur Minerals announced last year that it had done the takeoff deal with Glencore, the Cadence share price shot up from, I think it was around where it is now, to 40p intraday. So it literally leapt intraday. And then it tailed back off as I guess investors took the view, well, it was going to be rather too longer term. So if we're looking at an initial target, I think it's quite reasonable to look at somewhere like 40p as an initial price target once these final points with the creditors have been ratified and Cadence makes that investment.
40p. So what's that, about 4 times from today, is it?
That's it.
No, 3 times. Maybe 3 times. Yeah.
3 times. Yeah. 3 times. I think you've got to. I think with a company with assets in the ground like this, and strategic and a strategic development plan, you have to look at historical charting anomalies and historical price points to get some reference. And that I believe that's where the price went to, based on the Glencore takeoff deal, and clearly MacArthur has developed the Lake Giles Iron projects in leaps and bounds since then. So I think that's the next logical price point for the company to go to, and then obviously once we get some feel in regard to confirmation of timescale at a mapper, then I think we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I've just looked now, and there's 129 million shares in issue, so not that many really.
No. Company's also well funded. It's undertaken fundraisings this year, so it's certainly well funded for now. But clearly, to develop something on the scale of a mapper is going to require farming partners. But it would seem logical to me that once Cadence has ownership of the mine, then certainly given the connections and given the interest in getting iron ore out of the ground and into market at present, I don't think there'll be any shortage of farming partners queuing up around the block.
Right. So, okay. Well, okay. Another one then to take a look at, Cadence Minerals. Then what was the ticker?
The ticker there is KDNC.
KDNC. Okay, good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Alan, again for joining us and giving us the investment proposition on both Cadence and Erris there. And we'll catch up again same time next week.
Same time next week. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Bob.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.